Blondie, the show where Tiffany hates stuff and Randy sighs a lot.
Oh, God.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And this week's episode is The Greater Good, the 21st episode of Lost, which aired on May 4th, 2005. This episode was directed by David Grossman and written by Leonard Dick, who previously wrote In Translation. And he will go on to co-write some more episodes of Lost, but this is the only episode that he wrote by himself.
I did see that David Grossman is another Buffy and Angel veteran. He directed a couple of episodes of each of those shows.
Did he?
Yeah, actually, I think he directed quite a lot of episodes of Buffy. Not so many of Angel, but yeah.
Wow.
I know.
That's so cool.
I love it. I love it every time that happens.
Me too. I'm glad we're noticing it.
Mm-hmm.
Buffy is definitely one of my favorite shows, so it is suitable that there's a lot of crossover.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you haven't watched Buffy yet, you're really missing out. You need to go check it out.
What are you doing with your life?
The tragedy of Netflix taking Buffy off. I still am not over it.
Yeah, me either. I'm still mad at Netflix for that.
I put the Buffy DVD set on my Christmas list this year.
Ooh, I should do that too.
Yeah. So, how did you like this episode?
I thought it was a good episode. It's a solid episode. I think Sayid's backstory is interesting. What's happening on the island is it's very dramatic, obviously, but yeah, I liked it.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could tell that you thought I was gonna dislike it.
Yeah, I did think you were gonna dislike it.
Nope. I liked it. I thought it was good. And I thought there was a lot of, that juicy thematic stuff that you dig your teeth into. That's the kind of stuff I really like. And there's usually a lot of that when we discuss Sayid. But
yeah.
Yeah. And Sayid's one of my favorite characters. So I enjoy spending time with him.
Me too. He's always fascinating to watch in whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he just has a really interesting background. His experience is so unique, and he's just not like anyone else on the island. So it's really fun to see all the things that he has done.
Yeah, definitely.
I also think that, with all the tension that's going on the island, that Sayid is kind of the perfect person to walk us through all of this, because he's so neutral and so steady. And I feel like he is trying to figure out, what's right and wrong right with us,
Yeah, he handles these situations really well. The tense situations. I feel like a lot better than a lot of the other characters have been shown to handle these types of situations.
Yeah. Arguably better than anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think, if I was in trouble on this island, I would totally go to Sayid.
Yeah, me too.
Dude can take care of a problem.
Yeah. And he's able to, think most things through. And I trust him more. He's trustworthy.
Yeah. He's trustworthy. He's not, too judgmental, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
He's made mistakes too, and he gets that, bad stuff happens, but.
Yeah.
Sayid is great.
Yeah, he's so good.
So I wanted to make a little bit of a callback with the title to the Jack episode we had, All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues.
Still hate that name, but go on.
Yes, god-awful name. But we had a really significant line from Christian in that episode where he tells Jack that being a surgeon is about doing the greater good, but that there are going to be losses along the way. So I feel like that's relevant.
Yeah, definitely.
We got a lot of discussion of that in this episode, and what is worthy of sacrifice and what is not in order to serve the greater good. Lots of utilitarian stuff.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite thing to really discuss.
Yeah.
It's just so heavy. Whenever I start thinking about this stuff, I just get overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer here, really.
Right. That's the hard part. In college, in my philosophy classes, I would always feel I would enjoy the discussions a lot because I like talking about all this stuff and I like the issues and all the questions. But then at the end, I always feel a little unresolved because there is no definitive answer. There is no definitive right or wrong.
Right.
But that's kind of what I like about Lost. I feel like it definitely likes to play in the gray area on everything. So.
Yeah. Sometimes that can be a little annoying, but.
Yeah. Definitely. Annoying for everybody and some more than others. All right. Are we ready to do the thing?
Yes, let's do the thing.
Previously on Lost, Sayid's awesome triangulator plan got ruined when someone whacked him over the head and broke his gizmo gadget. Then Boone found a radio in the plane and he made a mayday call before going boom, and then Locke brought him back to camp and he peaced out. Shannon and Sayid had the time of their lives and Jack got really mad about stuff.
Okay.
That's how you recap the last, 5 episodes.
That's
right?
how you recap it.
At the caves, Shannon is tending to Boone's body while Sayid watches on, helpless. He asks what he can do for her, but Shannon is silent. He tells her that Sun said Boone has been very brave and he was very selfless, not allowing Jack to take his leg or to use any antibiotics. Shannon remains quiet, and we cut to a flashback of Sayid. He's walking through Heathrow Airport in handcuffs with 2 guards to an interrogation room. He's been held for 18 hours now, and Melissa Cole from the CIA wants him to do some work for them. Apparently, 300 pounds of C4 explosives were stolen by Iraqi terrorists, and Cole and her buddy Hewitt want Sayid's help getting it back. Sayid protests, saying he's not a terrorist. They agree with him, but say that he knows one, Assam, Sayid's roommate from university. He asks why he should help them, and Cole says, because we know where she is. Sayid left Iraq 7 years ago and has never stayed in one place long, because he's looking for Nadia. Cole says that if Sayid wants to know where she is, he is going to Sydney. Boom, information drop.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this setup for Sayid's backstory. It's instantly intriguing.
Yeah, it feels like almost a different show.
Yeah, it does.
Like one of those crime investigation shows or something. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the case. Here's your mission.
Yeah, that's so true.
Sayid can get it down. Yeah, it's a lot. It's kind of overwhelming. But yeah, it's good setup and it's fairly efficient. You do a lot in a little amount of time.
Yeah, it's good. It's solid.
I like Shannon in this first scene. I like her kind of quiet way of dealing with this, where we don't really know what's going on with her and she's just distant.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to play it, especially after how devastated we saw her at the end of last week's episode.
Yeah. I have a new appreciation for Maggie Grace in doing this podcast.
She's really good.
I've always thought she was really funny and great, but she does a lot that is really, really impressive.
Yeah, and I don't even like her character all that much, but she's good.
All the more impressive then.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely.
Also, it's kind of tragic that Sayid was in Sydney because he was looking for Nadia.
Yeah, I know. And that kind of, I guess this is jumping ahead, but that kills me at the end of this episode that he was on his way to Los Angeles to find her and then he crashed.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, we'll talk about that later, but
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Back on the island, Kate is walking through the jungle searching for Jack. It seems that he's been wandering the jungle in circles looking for Locke. He doesn't look very healthy, and Kate tries to get him to return to camp, but he's too angry that Locke lied to him about how Boone died. Kate says that the rest of the group needs him. On the beach, everyone has gathered to bury Boone, including Jack. He asks Shannon if she would like to speak, but she declines. Sayid decides to step up instead, and he tells the story of Boone swimming to Joanna to try to save her. He says that he'll always remember Boone's courage and that he will be missed. I'm glad that Jack came back for this, because this calls back to when they burned the fuselage to me, because everyone's gathering around and having a memorial. And I like the difference of him being apart. And then when Kate says, we need you to be with us, he came this time.
Yeah, he's the leader. He needs to be there for these things. So
yeah. I also love Sayid doing this.
Yeah, it was a nice gesture for him to stand up and say something.
Yeah, I mean, somebody friggin' had to.
Yeah.
Good looking out for your girl.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the part that we're gonna discuss a lot, I'm sure.
Yep, let's do it.
Suddenly, Locke appears, covered in blood, saying that it was his fault. He describes what happened to Boone, the real story. He calls Boone a hero, and Jack starts screaming at Locke, knocking him down and hysterically asking, "Where were you?" over and over as we cut to credits. Cutting back in, Jack is still screaming, but now he's fallen over. Everyone's asking if he's okay because dude is clearly not okay. So, yeah. Jack has a mental breakdown here. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's the angriest we've ever seen him, I feel like.
Yes,
He's
I think so.
Clearly, I mean, he has every right to be upset, but I think the fact that he's so sleep deprived is kind of making him go over the top. Like, I feel like if he hadn't spent all night staying up with Boone, trying to save him, giving him his own blood, I don't think we would have gotten quite this big of a reaction. But
I hope not.
I mean, it's, to me, like, I don't think Jack, even if, like, people hadn't pulled him off Locke, he would ever have really done anything to Locke other than punch him a couple of times. And, like, Locke deserves this. And just, I guess we can talk about Jack now, but we should also talk about Locke just showing up.
Yeah.
In the middle of the funeral, couldn't have waited another 15 minutes before it was over, still covered in Boone's blood, clearly has not rehearsed what he's gonna say at all. Like, the whole thing is just a huge disaster. I don't know what he was expecting to happen at this point, but, I mean, if I had been Locke, I would have been like, yes, I'm gonna get punched in the face after I make this appearance. Like, what else is gonna happen?
Yeah, so true. This is not the time or place for this.
But what do you think, Tiffany?
No, I pretty much agree with you. I really do find Jack kind of disturbing. But I think you're right. I think that it's heightened by his sleep deprivation and he's just kind of loopy, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the greatest timing for Locke. I do appreciate that he comes in and is honest, and nobody needed to tell him that what he did was wrong. He has realized that on his own and come back to kind of make it right as much as he can. And at this point, there's not much he can do. So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place and doing the best he can now.
But he's, like, still not being completely honest. If he was going to be completely honest, he could have said, hey, the reason we were out there is because I found something. He's still lying to everyone.
Like, what do you mean? Like, talk about the hatch, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't give any explanation for where he's been for what I'm assuming is at least 12, if not a whole day has passed since he, brought Boone back to the caves and then disappeared.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. I don't feel like the hatch is really extremely relevant to Boone's situation. I feel like talking about the plane and what actually happened there is what really matters. But yeah, I guess he's not being completely honest. I just don't see why he would talk about that right now.
Well, yeah, it just seems like Jack's just screaming, where were you? Where were you? And it's like, yeah, where were you? It's been almost a day. What have you been doing? Have you just been hanging out in the jungle?
Well, it's kind of a weird question for him to be asking, like, where were you? Like, you know where he was. Like, he was in the jungle, but
they don't know where he was. They don't know about the hatch. No one knows about the hatch.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like, they shouldn't know that there's anywhere else for him to be. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But, I mean, maybe the reason Jack's screaming that is because Boone mentioned that to him before he died. He mentioned something about the hatch and Locke telling him not to tell. So, yeah. To me, it makes sense for Jack to be...
I mean, it makes sense. I just am trying to figure out, like, where he possibly thought Locke would be, other than just walking through the jungle, like he always is. So, like, I take from that, where were you? Like, you weren't with Boone where you should have been. Like, why would you leave us? You know?
Yeah.
But, because that's a super valid question. Like, why would you go and just drop Boone and peace out?
Right, because it's an awful thing he did. So.
Yeah. Locke doesn't really explain that to anyone, really. I mean, he sort of explains it to Sayid later, but still, Kind of, not really.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, I guess.
It just seems he owed everyone an explanation. I mean, Jack's the one who goes after him screaming, but everyone's kind of looking at him when he starts talking. Like, what the hell? Like, what are you saying? You know, like they just, I don't know how to describe it, but clearly Jack's not the only one who is like upset or just finds this whole situation really off and
Well,
not
I think
okay.
right now, I think he is the only one upset. But I think that his reaction causes everyone else to be upset.
No, I don't think so, because you can see the looks on everyone's faces when Locke starts talking before Jack starts to go over to him. Like, just, I mean, they're all basing this on the fact that Locke has disappeared for a day, bought Boone back, and then left. I feel like that's all they needed to be like, you know, this is a really weird situation. What you did was not okay, and you're not really giving us an explanation for it at all. You're just talking about Boone and how he was a hero, which is great, I guess, but Boone's dead, and you still don't know what's going on with you. You're still not being completely honest. You're still lying to everyone.
So, if Locke had stayed, could he have done anything? I feel like the problem, really, is that he lied about what happened, and then maybe Jack would have treated Boone differently and been able to save him. I feel like that's the real issue, and that him leaving doesn't actually hurt anything. If he had been honest, if he was like, here's what happened, I have to go. Like, would that have been as wrong?
I mean, no, but those things go hand in hand. Him staying and then giving an explanation.
The only reason I'm thinking about that is, you know, everybody else was there, but nobody else could do anything. It was pretty much just Jack and Son. So it didn't matter that everyone else was around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking if me and my friend went rock climbing, let's say, in some random remote part of wherever, and they decided to do something stupid like Boone did and climbed up on a cliff. And I don't know, we were messing around and they got hurt. And then I took them to the hospital and left immediately and came back 24 hours later and they were dead. Like, I couldn't have done anything about it, but that's still that's awful, you know? Like, you don't do that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But I think the fact that you the fact that Locke put him on his back and walked a mile and brought him back to camp shows that he did care.
But he cared about the hatch more because he left immediately after without finding out what was going to happen to Boone. For hours.
Ooh, is that why you think that he left? Because he cares about the hatch more than Boone?
Of course!
Oh, interesting.
What? Wait, what do you think about that?
So I just felt like he was having a crisis of faith. And so he went out looking for an answer of like what his purpose in this whole island life is. Like, you know, he was having like a lost coming to Jesus moment, you know? That's what I felt like he was having like some sort of emotional breakdown. Like, I thought I was supposed to do this, but it just hurt my friend. And now I'm panicked and I don't know what's going on and I need a sign to help me.
He was having an emotional breakdown, but he put his emotional breakdown of higher importance than Boone's awful physical traumatizing injuries.
I don't think he did, because he brought him back so that he could get taken care of. So I don't feel like he did prioritize it above Boone. It was just like, take care of Boone and then take care of myself.
If he had stuck around 10 or 15 minutes afterward just to see what was going to go down with him, maybe. But yeah. The fact that he left right afterward, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I can totally see that for sure. It's so complicated.
I don't know. It just makes me so angry. Like, I struggle with Locke. I just...
Well, this is the beginning, I feel like, of people's actual struggles with Locke.
Yeah.
Because he does struggle to be completely honest with people about what's going on. And I think part of that is he just doesn't feel like people will believe him sometimes. Like if he said, well, I got a sign from the island and I had to go see this plane and Boone fell and my legs, which miraculously were healed when I landed, were failing me, but you know, then they started coming back. Like, I feel like this story sounds crazy and it would be a scary one to tell.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, that side of him is understandable because he does have some crazy stories. But my main issue with him is the way he manipulates people, even if it ends up doing them good in the end. Like the way with Boone when he drugged him and gave him that whole, scene with Shannon in the jungle. Like, maybe that was good for Boone. Maybe he got over Shannon that way, but that was probably not an okay way to do that. The way he knocked out Sayid, like, maybe he had a point. Maybe Sayid should have been trying to find the source of the distress call. Maybe that would only lead to bad, but he didn't have to knock Sayid out and destroy his equipment. Why couldn't he have just had a conversation with him? Like, and I know he would have arguments against that, whatever, but
yeah.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. I think those are the moments that Locke loses me as well.
Okay.
When he takes the control out of people's hands. Part of what was so beautiful in The Moth with Charlie was that he was telling him that this is within your power to change yourself. And he was facilitating that, but not controlling it.
Yeah, why can't he be like that all the time? I love that.
I don't know. Who wrote The Moth? They need to write everything.
They do.
All right. If this episode's not going to be an hour and a half like last episode, we have to keep going. A little later, Jack, Sayid, Sun, and Kate are walking on the beach, and Jack says that Locke is lying. Boone mentioned a hatch, and Locke's hiding it. The group tells Jack that doesn't matter right now. They need the island's only doctor to take care of himself and get some sleep. But of course, Jack is totes fine. In a flashback, Sayid is praying at a mosque, with his eye on one man in particular. Assam catches his eye too, and the two reunite outside. We learn that they're in Sydney. Assam says he cuts trees for a living. When Sayid asks about who we assume is Assam's significant other, he says that she was killed by a stray bomb while out shopping one day. He seems very upset, but he says he wants to catch up more, and he invites Sayid to his house. He lives there with 2 roommates, and Sayid, cool as a cat while making conversation with everybody, notices and he debugs the house that these guys are living in. When he throws the bug away, he looks around and asks exactly what kind of trees these guys cut. They're suddenly very suspicious of Sayid, but his old friend vouches for him, saying that he was in the Republican Guard and he knows things. Assam's friends decide that it must be fate that Sayid has come to them.
Sayid is a good actor in these flashbacks.
He is! He can do anything.
Yeah, he really can.
I think one of the things I love about Sayid most is he's just so capable. He can just seemingly do anything that he needs to do. And I just love that.
Right.
I am super drawn to people who are like that. It's just awesome.
Me too, because I'm not like that at all.
Exactly. Me too. I need those people in my life.
Yeah.
I told my husband if he was a character on Lost, he'd be Sayid.
Oh, yeah. He definitely would. You're very lucky.
With a smidgen of Sawyer sarcasm. It's the perfect combination.
Yep.
Sun and Charlie are trying to convince Claire to sleep, because apparently no one is sleeping right now. Charlie immediately knows what is wrong, and he tells Claire that no one will take her baby. They'll both be safe. He promises. Claire reminds Charlie what we all know, that you just should not freaking make promises like that on this island. But Charlie perseveres, and she hands him the baby. We've got very good Charlie in this episode.
We do.
Thank God.
I love it so much. Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten some very inconsistent Charlie lately. And
yeah, it's been off the last couple weeks, so.
Yeah. So this is wonderful. And Charlie is just always at his best with Claire.
Yeah, he really is.
Shannon is sitting on the beach alone when Locke brings her Boone's bag. She thanks him, and he sits down beside her, saying that a storm is coming. So true. He says that he should have said no to Boone, but Shannon says he would have just gone anyway. Locke says he knows how confused and angry Shannon must be. He knows what it feels like to lose family, but that he hopes she can forgive him. He's very sorry. He gets up, and he walks away, and a tear rolls down Shannon's face.
So, I feel like I have to give Locke credit for going over to Shannon and asking for forgiveness. Because, I mean, it's kind of exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I'm kind of forgiving towards Locke. He's very earnest in this whole episode. He's very humble, like, I did something wrong, and here I am. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna do what I can now. I appreciate the straightforwardness that he has in this episode. And Shannon is the one who matters, really, to address her directly. You know, this is so much better than barging in on a funeral.
Yeah, exactly. He should have just waited and then come to Shannon alone. Although he still should have changed his shirt before going over and talking to her. Like, it's so distracting.
That's true.
It was killing me. It was like, take 5 minutes and change your shirt. You're covered in Boone's blood. That's all she's gonna see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. It was
so
true.
That is so true. But I feel like it is a sign that Locke has just been in his own head. He's like not thinking about any of this stuff going on. He's not thinking about practical things. He's just like,
get it together,
what is
Locke.
my meaning? What is my purpose? Like, that is all he's thinking about right now.
Someone is dead, Locke. Get it together, okay? Get out of your own head for half an hour and think about what you're doing and what you're saying and how it looks, okay?
Oh, Randy. You're so funny. I would love to hear you, like, just straight tell somebody something like that one day.
Oh, maybe one day.
That would be great. Just don't make it me, because it would be scary.
Oh, no, I would never.
In the next scene, we realize that maybe Shannon's not so together as she may seem. She goes to Sayid and asks him to do something for her. Sayid says he would do anything. Shannon says, Locke killed my brother. Could you do something about that? And we cut. This is like such a hammer.
It is. Because she seems like she kind of accepts it when she and Locke have that conversation. So this is like, kind of comes out of nowhere.
Really, really does. I wonder what made the switch for her.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about it later, I guess. We'll talk about it later. I have theories.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a hugely significant moment. She's asking something so major of Sayid. And this is the story of Sayid's life. People asking him to do horrible things.
Yeah, that's true. He's always the one people go to, it seems.
Yeah, it's his own kind of tragic curse.
Yeah.
Because Sayid does some horrible things, but he is almost always manipulated into doing it in some sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true with his stories and his flashbacks.
I think I'm bringing too much into it from the future, but even just the fact that he was interrogating people and torturing them, that's horrible in itself. But he felt obligated to do that to protect his family. So, another complicated guy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, another complicated character on Lost. Who would have thought?
And of course I'm in love with him.
Yeah.
Kate and Jack are sitting together and she's trying to get him to drink more, but he is annoyed and not having it. He tries to stand up, but he can't. Kate tells him that she put crushed up sleeping pills in his drink as he drifts off to sleep.
I feel like I should have a problem with this, but to no one's surprise, I really, really don't.
I wrote the exact same thing.
Really?
That normally I would be opposed to this, but dude is acting like a nutcase and somebody needs to take over.
Exactly. And it's Kate. She's not gonna, like, hurt him or anything, so I'm okay with this.
Clearly this is what needed to happen, because God knows what else he would do.
Yep.
I think he straight would have killed Locke earlier.
I don't think so.
In total awe or fear, Walt is watching Grandpa Locke clean the blood out of his clothes. I'm not really sure how he's interpreting this, but he is wide-eyed.
He looks freaked out, but
he does.
Who knows?
I don't know if he's freaked out or if he's like, holy crap, that is the coolest guy ever.
I mean, he's wringing out blood from his shirt. I don't know about that, but...
Little boys, man. It's not hard to impress them.
True.
Sayid approaches and asks about Locke's scar from the kidney his father took. Locke tells him it was a war wound. Sayid asks if Boone picked up a signal from the radio that they found, and Locke says that they heard static, but he doesn't think the radio survived the fall. Sayid says he may be able to salvage some parts if Locke will take him to the plane. He agrees. Walking through the jungle, Sayid is continuing the interrogation, and Locke is mostly honest, failing to mention the crazy dream he had that led them to the plane, or the real reason his legs were hurt. Though I don't know how he would explain that one anyway.
Yeah.
Locke tells Sayid that he hasn't lost his touch for interrogation. After Jack called Locke a liar in front of the entire camp, Locke thinks it's natural that Sayid would be skeptical. But Sayid says he knows when he's being lied to, and he knows that there is a plane. He's right, and they see it through the trees. Sayid's just awesome.
Yeah.
Human lie detector.
He's great. And I don't want to say Sayid and Locke have good chemistry, but their interactions are fascinating.
I like their conversations because they both have a directness about them where they're not mincing words. They're getting to the point. Locke's like, oh, you're interrogating me. And Sayid's like, yeah, pretty much. And he's like, yeah, it's okay. I get it. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they're both so intelligent.
Yeah, that's so true. So it's interesting to get their perspectives on each other.
Yeah.
This is also our first kind of indicator that Jack's opinion has the power to influence people, and Locke is well aware of it.
Yeah, let's talk about this because Locke says in one of these scenes, Jack called me a liar in front of every man, woman, and child I've come to know in the last month.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying it like he's the victim here. When it's like, you're lying to everyone. You are a liar. Oh, it made me so mad when he said that. The way he said that. But
I can see that. I'm torn because you're right. Like, he is a liar about... It's hard to just, like, blanket label someone a liar. You know, like, I feel like everyone on this island has lied about something in some way. Like,
right.
Kate is a liar, and Jack isn't screaming that she's a liar in front of everyone and telling everybody that she's a criminal and we should be careful. Nobody should trust her. Like, you know, what he did was very public, and I don't think, he obviously didn't think it through. Like, this was a gut reaction. So I don't feel like he was planning to do this, but I think Locke just recognizes that Jack's opinion means something to these people, and it's gonna hurt him greatly that the, you know, leader of everybody is down on him.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. He kind of deserves it to me. Like, if Jack hadn't kind of lost it and started screaming at Locke and tried to punch him, if he had just called Locke a liar and walked away, like, I feel like Locke still would have been like, oh, poor me, like, I don't deserve this. Like, that's just, his attitude in this scene is like, I didn't do anything wrong, I don't deserve this, I'm not a liar, when he is lying to everyone.
See, I don't think that he's got like a poor me, I didn't do anything wrong attitude. I think he does think he did something wrong. He says, I made a mistake. But yeah, I don't think he's woe is me. I think he just recognizes it for what it is. Like, this really, not to give anything away, but this is the start of a huge rift between Jack and Locke, and arguably this moment is the beginning of just damning Locke in the eyes of everyone else on the island.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, Locke just knows that. He's not, like, whining about it. He just sees it for what it is.
Yeah, I guess. It almost feels like after he made that speech at Boone's funeral and he went to Shannon and asked for forgiveness like 10 minutes later, like, it feels like in his head, he's like, all right, well, I'm forgiven. Let's move on. Let's act like this never happened. You know, like,
I don't think he's like that. I mean, I think the whole reason he's taking this trip with Sayid is to try and help make things as right as he can.
I mean, he didn't really have a choice. This is Sayid, like.
I guess, but, you know, he doesn't play around at all. He's just like, can you take me to the plane? And he's like, yeah.
He's still lying, though. He's still lying throughout this whole episode.
He is lying about one thing.
He should have told everyone about the hatch when he got back. He should have told everyone, maybe not even everyone, just Sayid, just Jack, just one person. If he had done that, I could have forgiven so much more from him. But the fact that he's lying about this whole thing is just, it makes me crazy.
Why do you think he is lying?
Because it's like his special thing. Like, he's this baby that he's had, only shared with Boone for the last few weeks. And we saw, like, what a breakdown he had, at the end of episode 19. He has this special connection with the hatch.
Mm-hmm. So you think he's just, like, protective?
Yeah, I mean, for all he knows, when everyone finds out, maybe they'll want to destroy it. Who knows what everyone's going to want to do.
Right.
So it's Locke. He likes to take things into his own hands. He's not going to be like, okay, let's take a vote. What do you think we should do about the hatch, everyone? That's not his way of doing things.
Yeah, it's not. Because he feels like people aren't going to understand.
Right. But if he had just told one person and then, you know, we could have asked them, hey, like, this is going to be really crazy if everyone knows about it. Let's just keep this between us. But I at least wanted to be 100% honest with one person. It would have made it so much better for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I didn't think this episode made me that angry, but now that we're talking about it, it's like infuriating me.
I love it when you get infuriated.
Oh, God.
Sawyer and Locke, Team Randi Infuriation.
I guess.
Sayid and Assam are playing soccer, or football for our non-American listeners who probably hate me saying that. Sayid says Assam's friend, Haddad, I think it's Haddad. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Haddad is asking about explosives. Assam says that he doesn't know about this, but that there will be an operation and they need a martyr. Sayid realizes that Assam will be the martyr, but he's scared and he doesn't think that he can do it. In the next scene, Sayid is telling the CIA operatives that Assam is in over his head and that he can get him to turn himself in. But she doesn't want that. Assam won't know where the C4 is until right before it's given to him. So Sayid needs to convince his friend to go through with the plan to sacrifice himself. Sayid doesn't want to, but they threaten to arrest Nadia if he doesn't. And what a complicated life that this man lives.
Yeah, it's an awful choice that he has to make.
It really is. There's no good choice.
Right. Because it kind of feels like in this moment, like what else could he have done? What other choice did he have but to go along with them to save Nadia?
Yeah. I don't see any other choice. I
don't either.
I mean, I feel a little bad for his friend, but overall in this episode, I'm not extremely sympathetic to him because he's a terrorist.
Yeah.
He's like living with terrorists. He's like totally in on anything that they want to do. And, you know, when they ask him to kill himself, he's understandably not so cool with that, but he just doesn't seem like he's that great a guy. So to kind of manipulate his emotions a little bit, I'm not too upset about it. It's not like Sayid is actually going to let him go through with it.
Right, which does make a difference. I do feel bad because, you know, he tells a story about, I think it was his wife who was out shopping one day and got killed by a stray bomb somewhere. So that's got to be his main motivation for doing all this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's not just here out of spite or anger or anything like that. He's experienced pain and that's why he's in this situation. So he's definitely sympathetic, but I just feel like what else can Sayid do, you know?
Yeah, it's tough.
Because Nadia is sympathetic too. Like, we have to protect her too.
Exactly. This whole situation is a mess. I don't think
it
Sayid
really
could have
is.
done anything else.
No wonder Sayid does so well on the island. He's experienced so much worse than this.
Yeah.
Charlie has the baby, and he is singing to no avail. The baby keeps crying, and Hurley joins in. They strategize some reasons why the baby may be crying, and then Hurley busts out a wonderful version of I Feel Good. Sadly, it doesn't help, but I think it helps everybody else watching.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch an entire show just about Charlie and Hurley.
Me too. I love this really tiny, brief storyline that we have going on in the background with Charlie, Hurley, and Sawyer pacifying the baby. It's so wonderful.
It's so great.
This is the Charlie-Hurley relationship that I love. I feel like we've been talking about it, and we haven't actually really seen it, and now here it is.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites on the entire show. It's so great.
Yeah. Sayid notes the heroin that came out of the plane. He asks Locke why he lied about Boone falling off of the cliff. Locke shakes his head, and he says that he made a mistake. Sayid explores the plane, looking for the radio, and Locke asks why Sayid doesn't trust him. For one thing, Sayid says, you carry a gun that you've told no one about. Locke explains that they found it on the dead Nigerian priest that they found. He hands Sayid the gun, and Sayid says that this doesn't make him trustworthy just for adapting when he was caught. But Locke says that he'll tell Sayid something that he doesn't know, and in an extremely ballsy move, reveals that he was the one who destroyed Sayid's transceiver.
So ballsy.
So ballsy. I could not believe that he just did that.
Yeah, especially when he just handed Sayid his gun.
Right? I mean, I guess he's showing some trust in Sayid.
I guess.
He's just like, all hell's raining down on me right now. I might as well just get everything out of the way.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this kind of thing earns you trust with someone if they're like, okay, I'm going to come clean on everything. Here's this other bad thing I did. Or does it make you trust them less?
I mean, that's hard. In this situation, I feel like it would make me trust Locke less. Because what does he really have to gain from telling Sayid that he was the one who knocked him out?
Well, if he has nothing to gain, then he's just doing it for the sake of being honest.
Right, but it's like Sayid says, like, I guess Sayid knows he's been lying this whole time, so...
But he didn't know about the transceiver, so does this mean anything for him to do this? I feel like it's just a gesture. I feel like it's just here's everything. There's also this awkward situation where I hit you in the back of the head one time and you didn't know. I'm gonna tell you about that.
Well, you could argue that he's just doing it so he doesn't have to tell Sayid about the hatch.
Yeah, like a deflection.
Because when Sayid says earlier that I always know when people are lying to me, Locke's thinking, oh, maybe I can give up this one secret that I've had for a while. Mm-hmm. And hopefully Sayid will be so distracted and upset over that he'll forget that he probably knows in the back of his mind that, you know, I'm lying about this hatch or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally could be what he's doing.
Locke's smart. I think that's exactly what he's doing.
That fits into your untrustworthy Locke vision, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Sayid puts the gun to Locke's head and tells him that he ruined their chance to find the source of the signal. But Locke says it would have been a very dangerous place to lead people to. He says no one was being reasonable then, and they would never have listened to him. They were too focused on getting off the island, like they are now with the raft. Sayid asks if Locke burned the raft, but he says no. And he's actually being honest. Sayid asks Locke about the hatch then, and here Locke stumbles for the first time and hesitates just a little too long. He says something about hatches on the plane, and we cut to a flashback.
Oh, Locke.
Just protecting his hatch, baby.
Yeah. He's just, again, I've already said this, but he's just so arrogant. Like, he thinks he knows better than everyone else. And sometimes the way he goes about those things is not the best way.
Definitely true. Locke makes some severe mistakes for sure.
Life doesn't have to be this hard, Locke. I know your life has been awful, but God, sometimes you make it even worse for yourself.
I miss lean back and hold your arms up in the rain, Locke.
Yeah, me too. That guy was chill.
Yeah. I mean, I still like this Locke. I'm still Team Locke, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Sayid is convincing Assam to go through with the suicide bombing. Assam worries about all the innocent lives that will be lost. He worries that he's only doing this out of anger. Sayid asks, what if you are? Should we just accept what happened? Accept the deaths of the people who have already been lost? He says if they do that, then they don't care about those people. Sayid says that he lost someone once too, and now it's his duty to honor her by making those responsible pay for their actions. Assam reiterates that it was fate that brought them back together and asks Sayid if he will join him. Sayid agrees. They do a lot of talking about fate, and
yeah, they do.
That's no coincidence.
Yeah, definitely not.
I feel like this is kind of Assam putting trust in Sayid to just assume that he is there for some spectacular reason, you know?
Yeah.
Also, Sayid is like way too good at explaining why he should do this.
Yeah, he's really good at it. It's scary. I don't know what to say about this. It's very sad.
It is sad. It's sad to watch someone manipulate somebody so seemingly innocent, though, I mean, kind of innocent. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about this. You know what I mean?
It is hard to talk about it. It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated for everyone involved. Even just Sayid's perspective alone is a mess. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's like I'm like scared to say certain things in this episode because I don't want to make people mad. But I mean, there's just like whole discussions you could have with this, like political discussions. Not that we're going to do any of that, but you know what I mean? Like discussions about terrorism. Right. And like when I was watching all these flashbacks, like that's kind of where my mind was going. And I was like, oh, I don't want to say any of this. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, how do we even start? So I don't know what to say.
Well, I feel like it adds to the weight of this whole backstory for Sayid, that this is the life that he lives, that these are the kind of things that he's involved with, and, you know, he doesn't want to be. He is by sheer geography, you know, like this was just his roommate in college. This could have been you or me, Randy.
That's so true if we lived anywhere else, so, yeah.
He's such a victim of where he is and the time period he's in. And, I mean, this had to have been a really touchy episode, like, when it aired. This was 2005.
That's what I was thinking, because just, like, 4 years after September 11th, so I feel like this must have been a really controversial episode when it came out.
Yeah. I don't remember, and I didn't watch live until season 2, so I didn't, like, have anybody's feedback at the time about this, but yeah, it had to have been, like, such a hot button thing. Like, it still is, and it's been 12 years since this episode aired. Like, this is still touchy, and you're right, it feels like we're bound to say something that's gonna upset somebody, and hopefully we don't, but...
Yeah, and like you said, it's hard to comment and give our opinions on this stuff when we're lucky enough to live somewhere where we don't have to worry about things like this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it is hard, and it's hard to see from Sayid's perspective in that way. The people who I know who don't like Sayid point to a lot of bad things that he has done, and he's just, like, these circumstances are so wildly out of the realm of what we understand that sometimes I feel like, what else could he have done, you know?
Yeah.
It is such a mess and so complicated, and yeah, you're really right. It's so hard to talk about.
It is. It really is.
Back on the island, Shannon is going through Boone's things, staring at a picture of the two of them. Sayid returns and asks how she is. He tells her that he saw the plane Locke described and talked with him, that he believes what happened to Boone was an accident. Shannon asks why he would lie then, but Sayid doesn't know. She's frustrated, asking if that's all they're gonna do. Sayid tells her that he understands the need to blame someone, but Shannon says he just doesn't get it, and she walks away. So, I love that, you know, Sayid is mad right now. Locke just told him about the transceiver and everything. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you know, Locke made all these mistakes with Boone, but he's still level-headed enough to correctly gauge all the truths that Locke is saying. Because I feel like it's so easy when someone lies about something to be like, everything you do now is wrong, everything you say is wrong. But, like, Sayid picks apart, like, the truth of the matter. And he's like, he's telling the truth about this, he's lying about this thing, and he's telling the truth about this.
Yeah, it's like he's unselfish enough to make this about Shannon and getting the truth for Shannon than making this about, you know, how Locke knocked him out and whatever other lies that Locke is telling him.
Yeah, because that doesn't matter right now. It's just Shannon is grieving and she asked him to do something and he is explaining, you know, the way the situation really is. Because all Shannon knows right now is Jack says he's a liar and Locke approached her and was like, I'm sorry. Like, she doesn't know very much. So Sayid comes in and he just kind of like breaks down the situation as best as he can.
Yeah.
And it's hard for her to hear because, you know, the truth is that sometimes there are just accidents and sometimes people make mistakes, but that's not what you want to hear when you're angry.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally understandable that she's angry.
Yeah. And he gets that too. He's like, I understand you need to blame someone because that's kind of how we unfortunately deal with things sometimes.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of understanding.
Definitely.
I love you, Sayid.
At least we can agree on Sayid.
I know. Do we ever fight about Sayid?
No, Sayid's the best.
Aw. We'll just mark him down as the number one not thought about character. Operation Raft seems to be going pretty well. Jen is even picking up some English. Walt is being a real killjoy, asking a lot of questions about worst case scenarios. He asks Michael, what if we died? And Michael says that won't happen. But Walt says, Boone died. And it's so sad.
It is sad.
Poor kid. He's probably never, like, experienced, like, a violent death like that. It's just so sad.
Yeah. I love all these little moments between Michael and Jin.
Yeah, I do too. They're bonding.
It's great because you think about how far they've come.
Yeah, they've worked out their differences.
They have. It's nice.
Without words.
Yeah.
Just a common agenda to get the hell out of here.
It's just nice to see them not punching each other in the face for once.
So true. Charlie approaches, asking for help with the baby, but Michael certainly has no recommendations for him. No one seems to be of any help here, but Baby seems to have quite the affection for Sawyer's voice, as we all do. He stops crying whenever Sawyer speaks. Charlie starts following Sawyer around like a little puppy. We are really emphasizing Sawyer and this baby, aren't we?
Yeah, it's weird.
I think it's funny. They clearly decided that the baby and Sawyer are a funny contrast.
Yeah, they definitely are. Also, I feel like this is the first time we've actually seen Sawyer helping out without complaining or just sitting around doing nothing. Like, he's just helping build the rafts. It's commendable.
So true. Why didn't I notice that? Good point, Randy.
No. I feel like I had to mention it. Because it's so rare, so.
You're right. It's great. Go Sawyer. Yeah. Earning his place on the raft.
Yep.
Jack wakes up and declines the fancy bowl of soup that Kate has brought him. And it is a really fancy bowl of soup. Did you not think that soup was awesome?
Did. Like, where did she get that from?
It's so cool. She like hand-carved a melon or something. It's awesome.
So weird.
Jack realizes that the key to the gun case has been stolen from around his neck. He starts running down the beach, and when Sayid asks what's wrong, he says Locke stole the key and is after the guns. Kate protests, saying she hasn't even seen Locke all day. Sayid knows, though. It wasn't Locke. We cut to Shannon in the jungle, where the rain is pouring down hard, and she is loading one of the guns. This is the kind of thing that Jack does that really annoys me.
What exactly? Jumping to conclusions like this?
Yeah. It's just so irrational and dramatic. And, like, we can't even blame this on sleep deprivation anymore. He's just, like, leaping to conclusions. Like, something bad happened. Locke must be responsible. Why? What makes you think that? Like, it's just...
He's just mad at Locke. He doesn't trust Locke anymore. That trust has been broken if it was ever there. So, I don't know.
I get that the trust is broken. Like, I understand that. But it's just not a big deal. It's just the kind of thing that really irks me.
All right.
But, like, in contrast to this, like, Sayid is the epitome of rationality here. Does he want his girlfriend to be, like, the one who stole the key and is going through the guns? No. But he knows that that is what happened.
Yeah, but you could also argue that the only reason Sayid knows that is because of the conversations he's had with Shannon lately.
Well, sure. Like, I don't think Jack should know that. I'm just saying that Sayid's not letting his emotions cloud the fact that this is true. For Jack, like, if he's going to be rational, he would wake up and be like, the key's gone. We need to find out who has it.
Yeah.
Again, this only bothers me with Jack. Like, if this could be totally fine, that would be a perfectly fine character trait to have. But he's supposed to be, like, our man of science and rationality. And he always seems the opposite of that to me. Because he's an emotional person.
Yeah, I mean, he is emotional. Like, he's not all of one thing, I feel like. He's not just the good guy. So, I don't know. I feel like people hold Jack to a higher standard as a character than they hold all the other characters on the show. Which I guess is kind of understandable because he's the leader, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, all the characters on this show, you could argue, all of them do terrible things at one point or another. Every single one of them. So, I don't know. It's just annoying.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like, I mean, if we're just judging characters on morality, like, there's no question that Jack is, you know, a good guy and hasn't done the bad things that a lot of other people have done. But it's not about, like, whether he's a good guy or not. It's about whether he is the guy that everyone is saying that he is. It's, like, to me, there's this disconnect between the character I see and the character I'm being told I see. I feel like I'm being told he's the leader, he's the doctor, and he's like a good guy and he does the right thing. And I feel like that's not true. And it doesn't have to be true, but I just want people to stop saying that. If and I'm not saying like people, audience people. I'm saying like the show and the characters in the show. Yeah,
but like that's not Jack's fault that they're saying all those things. Jack never wanted to be a leader. He's never said to anyone, I'm this perfect guy. I don't have a past like everyone else here.
But so I feel like accepts the power of it.
Right, because he had no choice.
He uses that power. I don't know. You're right. He didn't want to be in that position.
It's like he didn't want to be in that position, and everyone was constantly asking him, do this for me. What should I do about this? What should I do about this? And then he finally accepted the position and started using it to make decisions, and everyone just gets mad at him all the time. And it's just like, make up your minds.
I just I don't like that the show paints him like he's a hero, but he doesn't act like a hero. If they would just act like he's like everybody else and that he has like gray area, then it would be totally fine. But they don't do that. Jack is the good guy. He's like noticeably the quote unquote main character. Like they always return to Jack. And I feel like they do that because he's supposed to be our hero guy, but I'm repeating myself, but yeah, but I just don't feel like...
I feel like he's already... And as the seasons progress, I feel like that gets less and less true. Like, his actions show that he's not always the good guy. He's not always the hero. And I feel like it's already starting to crack now. Like, maybe they set him up that way in the first couple episodes, but...
Yeah, that's true. There could be an evolution of sorts. I mean, borrowing myself of future knowledge, but you're right. Like, the way he starts is not necessarily... Like, I think the way they started the show, maybe they didn't anticipate all the conflict that they were going to put within all these characters.
Right.
I don't know, because everyone else...
But it's like, who wants... I mean, you've said this before. A character who's 100% good all the time is boring. And I know you think Jack is boring anyway, even though I would argue he's not 100% good, not 100% the hero all the time. But you've got to give him these dark areas to make him interesting, at least to me.
I think a character who's 100% good is often boring on shows because they're hard to write and they're hard to do. I think that when they're done well, they're amazing. Like, I know I said in some other episode, Jamie and Claire and Outlander are both 100% good, but fascinating characters.
That's not true. I would disagree with that. They have each done some real sketchy stuff. I mean, they're like 70% good, I guess.
What? Okay, Buffy on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 100% good, but still interesting.
I mean, yeah, but like, she has dark areas too. She does questionable things too sometimes. So, to me, it's like, I can't think of any character that's 100% good all the time. Even the heroes. Like, even like Harry Potter, one of my favorite characters in all of literature. He makes some questionable decisions. He's not 100% good all the time.
Yeah.
Is there a character like that exists? Like, for me, no. At least not the ones I remember, not my favorite ones.
See, I feel like there are, and I just feel like those people sometimes make mistakes. And Jack makes mistakes, and that's fine. He can make mistakes. He just doesn't really own it. Like, Locke is at least owning his mistakes in this episode.
Oh, God.
I don't even know why we're talking about this. But I'm in it.
Let's move on, because I could talk about this for the next, hour or so.
I know. We're running so long, too. Okay. Back in Sydney, Sayid and Assam are preparing for their big moment. They have the truck full of C4 and are given guns in case they run into any problems. The man giving them the C4 tells them that they are heroes. When Sayid and Assam are alone, Sayid tells him that he's working for the CIA. Assam asks why he would set him up. But Sayid says that he'll give him 10 minutes to run away. He has to do this to find Nadia. Assam is angry with Sayid's betrayal and puts the gun to Sayid's head, saying that he convinced him to do this, but he was just using him to find a girl. I hope she makes you whole again, he says, before turning the gun on himself. This scene is so ridiculously intense, and Naveen Andrews is absolutely unbelievable in this scene.
Yeah, he really is. He does great work in this scene.
Oh my gosh, he is so great. I always feel like people on TV are way too calm when someone puts a gun to their head.
Yeah.
But he looks super terrified.
That's so true.
That is the way you should react when someone who is angry with you puts a gun to your head.
Yeah, because that's like one of the most terrifying situations ever. So
yeah, that is like one of my TV pet peeves. Just like last week with, Boone dying halfway through his little speech. Like that makes me mad on TV, and it makes me mad when people are really calm with guns to their heads.
I've never realized that, but thinking about all the television shows and movies where people have done that and people just been like, yeah, whatever. That's such a good point.
Yeah, you won't unsee it now. It's just
wow.
gonna bug you.
Yeah, it will bug me because it's ridiculous now that I think about it.
But God, this scene is just so emotional and tragic, and I could talk about it forever.
Yeah, it's just, obviously I'm glad Sayid told Assam the truth, gave him a chance to get away, but it's just a sad ending.
It's really sad, and I have so much, I'm so complicated about this. Like, do you buy this? Would Assam do this? That he would just be so mad at Sayid that he would just kill himself? Like, what's the thought process to that? Because I feel like, yeah, he's in his brain, like he's resigned himself to dying today. I get that. He's in like a scary, emotional place.
Yeah.
But he resigned himself to that for a purpose, that he would be, avenging the ones he lost and, making a statement. But this means nothing except it hurts Sayid, I guess. So is that why he's doing it? To hurt Sayid?
Yeah, I would argue that he had already resigned himself to become a martyr today and to die, but it was really Sayid's manipulation, that convinced him to go through with it. So I feel like, I don't know, this is how I read it. He's so betrayed. He feels so betrayed by this turn from Sayid that, like, he has nothing left to live for.
Oh, it's so sad.
It is. That could be wrong, but that's kind of where I see his thought process.
Yeah, I can totally see that. It's so sad. It's so sad to think that, this thing Sayid did that he didn't really want to do was just enough to push this guy over the edge.
Yeah. It's rough.
It is. And to think that this happened to him like a day before their plane crashed.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh.
What kind of mindset is he in? It's crazy.
And still calm and cool as always. God, he's amazing. Or a robot.
It's almost unbelievable at this point. Yeah.
Jack and Kate and Sayid are running through the jungle toward the guns. Jack falls and Kate runs back to help him, giving Sayid a chance to get to Shannon first. She has a gun on lock. She says, "He did it. I know it." Sayid says, "You're not thinking rationally. You've never even fired a gun before." She proves him wrong there and fires at the ground before returning her focus to Locke. Sayid says, "You don't want to do this. If you do, you can never take it back." Jack and Kate arrive, and Locke and Jack share a look. Locke knows Jack is the reason that this is happening. To make that point really clear to the audience, Shannon says, "Jack, you told me that he was a liar," right before she pulls the trigger. Sayid leaps at Shannon just as the gun is firing and knocks her to the ground. Locke falls too, and it's unclear at first whether he was hurt or not. Kate looks scared until Locke reaches a hand to grab his forehead, and we know he's okay. Shannon screams, and Sayid says he's sorry, but she tells him to get away. Locke sits up, wiping the blood from the graze on his forehead away, and he looks at Jack, who is looking anything but sorry as he walks away.
Oh, man.
So much stuff. Okay, I find Jack really disturbing in this scene.
I don't see why, but go on.
Really? Okay. I can't believe you don't even see why.
Not really. Like, he doesn't do anything.
That's the whole problem. He doesn't do anything. Jack, Mr. Action, doesn't do anything. And when we think that Locke has been shot, like, Jack just, he seems totally okay with that. Kate looks upset, but Jack is fine. And then when Locke sits up, they just share this look, and Jack looks like mad, and he just walks away. I feel like he just feels like Locke deserves everything he's getting. And like, if Locke had been killed right then and there, that would have been fine.
I don't know about that. I feel like there's a moment when they first there's some moment in that scene where, like, Sayid's trying to get Shannon to stop, and Shannon's yelling, blah, 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 and Jack's like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, he almost looks like he's gonna say, you know, I was angry and I was pissed, but I don't think Locke should die in this moment. Like, to me, that proves that Jack never really wanted Locke to be dead. I mean, I think he was interested to see how this played out with Shannon, but...
Wait, what do you mean that Jack he didn't say anything to her?
There is this moment where... Oh, I wish I had written it down. There's this moment where he comes up on the scene and he's like, he says something, or he reaches out almost like to stop Shannon. It's like, whoa, 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 this is going too far. I swear to God, there's this moment in that scene that made me, because I wrote it down, and it made me think like, oh, like that proved to me that Jack never really wanted Locke dead. I will agree with you that like the look he gives Locke at the end is very like, I don't know, they're gonna have this is like the beginning of something for the two of them.
Yeah.
But
it's just dark. Like, it's not the normal Jack that I feel like we've seen before. It's just weird.
I would have been interested to see what would have happened if Sayid hadn't been there. Because I feel like he was kind of content to let Sayid handle this. Like, if Sayid hadn't been there, would he have tried to talk Shannon out of it or jumped when Shannon shot that gun? I feel like he might have, but...
Yeah, it's hard to imagine him not doing it, but he does seem really disturbingly detached in this scene. But I think if it came down to it, like if Sayid wasn't there, I just can't imagine him letting Shannon do that. It's just, that sounds crazy.
It does, because, I mean, Locke makes me so angry in this episode, but he doesn't deserve to die for anything he's done, Like...
Right. It's just the way, it's a lot of the acting. It's really in the acting. Because when you look at the actions, Jack doesn't have a lot to do with this scene. He's just kind of standing there, but he's just giving a lot of very angry looks at Locke. And, I mean, we also have Shannon pointing out that she's basically doing this because Jack said that he was a liar.
Yeah, but I feel like she does say that, but I feel like, and I don't know, I feel like you were going to mention this later, but there must have been something that Locke said to her when they were sitting on the beach and Locke gave her Boone's stuff that made her go to Sayid and ask him to take care of this. It couldn't all be what Jack said, right?
I feel like it was. I feel like that was her first impression and that she trusts Jack. So for Jack to say that carries a great deal of weight. And she just kind of took off with it.
I don't think so.
I think that this is just kind of like an unfortunate consequence that Jack maybe didn't anticipate.
Yeah, I don't know. all the more reason why Locke should have handled this more carefully. Not showing up in the middle of Boone's funeral and saying all those things. Like,
do we hold Shannon, like, responsible for this? She just tried to kill someone.
Yeah, she did, and she almost succeeded.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's also very dark. I mean, she's in a bad place right now, but...
Yeah. How do you feel about this? Like, is this forgivable? Is this... I don't know.
It's hard because it doesn't... I mean, obviously Locke is okay in the end, so that's kind of the outcome that I focus on.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to think of what would have happened if she'd actually killed him, but...
Because we can't even call this like a moment of passion. She planned this. She wanted Sayid to do it earlier. She wanted Locke dead.
Yeah. It's messed up because, like I just said, Locke doesn't deserve to die.
No.
Even after all the mistakes he's made, so...
And for her to, like, kind of pinpoint this on Jack saying that he was a liar, like, even if that's true, even if he is a liar, like, who cares? Like, you don't die because you lied about something. He didn't even, like, he didn't kill Boone.
Right.
Not to say that if he had killed Boone, you should kill him.
Yeah.
But, like, we're not even at that. So, yeah, this is hard. And it's hard for me to forgive Shannon for this.
It is hard.
Because attempted murder is pretty serious.
Yeah. I feel like the only things that make it kind of forgivable is the fact that she just lost Boone, which is, obviously hard. And then the fact that they're on this desert island, like, it's not like there's some trial they can have to prove that Locke is innocent, Sometimes when people take things into their own hands on this island, I'm like, okay, well, they don't really have another choice.
Like Charlie and Ethan.
Yeah, exactly.
Who we pretty much forgave instantly.
Exactly. And he murdered Ethan, so...
He actually got the job done. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's because we care about Locke and we don't care about Ethan.
Right.
So it becomes much more complicated.
Yeah, and Ethan did also murder someone, so there's that too.
True. Very true point to make. Sawyer is reading a car magazine to Claire's baby. Whenever he pauses, the baby cries, and Charlie urges him on, as the baby stops whenever Sawyer speaks. Claire approaches and is confused until she realizes what's happening. It's totally glorious.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. It's so cute.
So adorable. Sawyer, #1 island babysitter.
Yeah. And he's got those glasses on that Sayid made him a couple episodes back.
Those glasses do wonders for Sawyer because
they really do.
I feel like they make him so much more approachable, and other people might be put off by him sometimes, but if he's wearing those glasses, like, he's just good old friendly Sawyer.
He should wear those all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he even wins you over with those glasses.
He really does. And he's reading with those glasses, like...
Yeah. Highlights all the great things you love about him.
Yep.
That night, Sayid watches Shannon from a distance. Kate tells him that she just needs time. But Sayid says time won't make a difference. He may have made a mistake. Kate says he couldn't have let her kill Locke. He had no choice. But Sayid says there is always a choice. Which I love, because Sayid is a man who has lived making the most difficult choices that don't feel like choices.
Absolutely.
So... it's so big of him to say that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in Kate's camp of, dude, you kind of had no choice.
Yeah. Same.
But I feel like this is important to note because this really shows that Sayid would never subscribe to the idea of fate. He is, for sure, team free will.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Although... oh, no, I'll just wait till you get to it. You're about to get to it, but yeah, okay. I guess that's true.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Okay. In a flashback, Sayid is getting the plane ticket and information that he needs to find Nadia. She's in Los Angeles. He still has tears running down his face as he asks what will happen to Assam's body. Cole says he was a terrorist. He will be cremated. Sayid says a Muslim man's body should be buried. But Cole and Hewitt say there's no one to claim the body and Sayid's flight is in 2 hours. Sayid says then they'll have to change his flight to tomorrow so that he can claim Assam's body. They agree. So, I'm guessing that you're going to say that maybe it was fate that he was on the island?
Yeah, I mean, like, what a twist of fate that Sayid was the one who insisted that his plane ticket be changed at the last minute.
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up on flight 815.
Yeah, God. I'm sure he's regretting that now. He's like, man, should I just burn that dude?
Yeah. It also makes me think that no wonder Sayid wants to get off this island so bad.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder he didn't want to move to the caves. He wanted to stay on the beach. If he was so close to seeing Nadia again, and then he ended up on the island. Like, it makes so much sense now.
Right. He hasn't seen her for at least 7 years.
Yeah. Ugh. And he's been searching for her. Like they said in his flashbacks, he stays in one place for a few months and then moves on. He's just been doing that for years and years looking for her.
Yeah.
Their story is so sad. Oh, God.
It really is. Sayid asks Locke how he is, and Locke thanks him, saying he knows what it cost him. Sayid says he did it because he thinks Locke may be their best hope of surviving on the island. He says he doesn't forgive him or trust him, and he wants him to take him to the hatch. No more lies. I find this so interesting because many episodes ago, Locke was telling Boone that they would need Sayid's support later. And he completely did.
Right.
Totally called this. And now Sayid is saving Locke, knowing that he's going to need Locke later.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting when Sayid says that Locke is their best hope for survival. Because that's, I mean, Charlie said that a few episodes ago as well.
Yeah.
Or, something along those lines. So.
Oh, it's so interesting. I feel like it's like what you said earlier, and they're just both really intelligent and kind of like recognize this capability in each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I don't know if you would call this a twist, but the fact that Sayid knew that Locke was lying all along. Because I have to say, when I was rewatching this episode this week, I kind of forgot that Sayid came and said this to him at the end of the episode. I was just like, what? Like, of course Sayid knew he was lying. He's too smart for that. So,
yeah.
I would have been mad if Sayid had never figured it out.
True. Yeah. I had full faith in him. I was like, I guess Sayid knows he's doing.
Yeah.
It's also just, like, it's nice that Locke realizes, you know, that it was a sacrifice for him to save him the way he did, for Sayid to jump in and stop Shannon. Because now his relationship with Shannon is, like, down the tube, right?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
he just stopped her from doing the one thing she wanted to do. So
yeah, I do appreciate that.
It's just good on both of them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for Locke to recognize it and for Sayid to do it and to put the needs of everybody else on the island above, you know, his romantic thing.
Yeah, he's very unselfish.
Yeah, he is. So, what were you thinking about this episode? There are about 1.5 million themes that you could pull from this, but
yeah,
it's almost hard to narrow it down.
I suppose I just kind of based the theme that I came up with off the title of this episode, The Greater Good.
Uh-huh. I feel like Lost does that a lot. Like, thematically, the title is usually relevant.
Yeah. So, like, I was just thinking, I just wrote down, like, is it worth sacrificing few lives if it will benefit many in the future? But
that's almost exactly what I wrote, Randi.
Okay, good. Because sometimes I feel like, because this is obviously a really big theme, it'll, like, come up again in Lost, and it comes up in, I mean, so many stories, TV shows, movies, books. Like, this is a
life.
Theme. Yeah, history, history right now, history, you know, whatever. So, when I wrote this, I was like, well, that's so easy and obvious. I didn't really feel like I was contributing anything great when I wrote that down. I was like, I don't really know what else to say about it. But
it's just, it feels obvious because it's really relevant.
Yeah,
but
true.
It's exactly what we're talking about in this episode. And it's just because it's a question we think about a lot doesn't mean the answer is easy. It's hard. Like, there's so many situations, especially in this episode, where it's hard to decide, like, if it's okay to make certain sacrifices.
Right.
Like, deciding what the greater good is the whole difficulty. We have Assam and his friends who think that killing some innocent people and even themselves is worth it for the greater good. Shannon thinks killing Locke is for the greater good. But, like, we have Sayid, who is just so unbelievably neutral and rational about everything, and he can kind of see through in what is okay and what is not.
Yeah, and you could even argue that, I mean, Sayid sacrificing Assam in order to save Nadia is kind of like, I don't want to say selfish, but he's weighing what he wants over, like, another person's life, essentially.
That's true. I mean, I don't know if he would have done it if he thought Assam was going to die, but he at least signed on to putting Assam in a really weird headspace by convincing him that his suicide would be important and do good things.
Right. And again, I don't think Sayid really he had a choice, but I couldn't see it going down any other way, especially when they threatened Nadia. But I mean, he could have made the decision to say, no, like, I don't want to have anything to do with Assam or get involved in that. It's probably going to end badly. You know what I mean? I don't want to put his life above Nadia's. He could have gone that way, so.
He could have. And, you know, it's not like Nadia's life was at risk. They said that they would arrest her. And it's the CIA, you know, they're not going to hurt her. So, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Sayid doesn't know that.
Okay, so I asked people on Instagram if they thought it was okay for Sayid to make the decision that he did, and it was straight 50-50. Like, I need to start thinking of different questions because people are always 50-50 on these things.
Yeah.
But I guess that's very indicative of the show, though.
Yeah, it's not black and white.
It's not. But I feel like you and I are pretty much in agreement on this, that, you know, it was okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I hate that Assam died, and I wouldn't have wanted Sayid to do this if I'd known that that would happen, but, you know, he didn't want that either.
Yeah.
Okay, one quick thing that I need to say because it's so cool. The internet is awesome.
Okay.
So, you may remember in the last episode we did on Sayid, we talked about his name, which meant master. Well, a listener who is Arabic and whose dad is named Sayid got in touch with us and clarified this. I know. Crazy, right? Internet. Wow. Amazing. So, basically, if I'm understanding correctly, first off, Arabic is just, like, hella complicated and difficult to explain. But this listener said that the name could actually mean happy. The reason for this is that the phonetic sounds needed to properly say Sayid in Arabic don't exist in English. So on the show, people pronounce his name incorrectly, except in flashbacks, where people are actually speaking Arabic and they're saying it properly. So, but they said Naveen Andrews doesn't say it properly because he's not actually Arabic.
Right.
So if I'm understanding correctly, the way we say Sayid does mean master, but the way we say it is wrong, so no one would ever say that in Arabic. They would say it in the way that means happy. So I just thought that was really cool that somebody let us know.
Fascinating. Wow.
So thank you so much for getting in touch and telling us that, because there's no way in hell we would have ever figured that out on our own.
Who was that? That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. That listener their username on Instagram was Lost X Oceanic. So rock on to that person.
Yes. That's awesome.
All right. I think that will do it for this monstrous episode.
This episode is exhausting to talk about. I didn't think it would be, but it is. So.
It is. There's so much happens, and it's just really complicated, and it's pretty great. I like it. I enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah, definitely good discussion. It's a solid episode, I think.
For sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Your support and your feedback means the world to us. If you have questions or comments, please drop us an email at frecklesandblondie@thelostpodcast.com, or you can find us on Instagram. You can support this show by leaving us a review on iTunes, rating the show, and subscribing to us there. Seriously, nothing makes our day more than logging in and seeing a new iTunes review. It is glorious.
Yay!
So if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, please let today be the day. You can also send us $1 a month or whatever you can afford through our Patreon page. The link is on our website, thelostpodcast.com. And speaking of Patreons, we are making some solid plans on that front, and hopefully you guys are okay with this, but we decided that we want to change our first stretch goal. We know we promised you a bonus episode when we hit our first goal, but now we're thinking that it may be more fun for everyone to do, or for us to do a live show where we all watch together in like a big chat room, and Randy and I will commentate, possibly with a glass of wine or two, cause you know.
Definitely with a glass of wine or two.
I think that would add to the festivities.
Yeah.
But it would be something very casual and fun that will just be different from what we normally do. And we haven't decided what we want to watch yet. If we want to go back over some previous episodes of Lost, but like allow ourselves to discuss spoilers or whatever comes to mind. Or we could just watch like an entirely different show. Anything. But we would love your feedback on that. We're just fleshing the idea out. And I think that some influence from you guys would be perfect and would help us really solidify what we want to do there.
Yeah, so this is for you guys, for the patrons who so awesomely support us each month. So definitely give us suggestions on what you want to see.
Exactly. And if you have a great idea and you're not a Patreon, please share with us anyway, because we would love to hear it. And we want to make this like compelling for as many of you as possible. So yeah, that's our spiel for the day. And hopefully that sounds fine to more than just us who would just be, getting tipsy.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys will tune in just for that.
Yeah, who knows what'll happen.
So that's it for the logistics. Tune in next week for the 22nd episode of Lost, Born to Run. And if you can't tell from the title who that episode's about, you probably haven't been watching Lost for very long. It's our last episode before the finale. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can't believe it. I feel like we just started this podcast. It's crazy.
Oh, God. Ridiculous. Okay. Till then, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And this has been Freckles and Blondie.